What are you doing?
Oh, just doing a little reading here. What about yourself, Miss Erin Fulk? How are you doing?
What was your favorite chapter?
I've actually only I can't give it away here. I've actually only read the start of it. I haven't even gotten into the first chapter. So the introduction doesn't start until page 15.
All right.
So, but I don't know about you. How's you getting ready for summer? What's cooking in Erin Folk's world? What's cooking in Lily and James' world? Because we know Bestway International is moving product all throughout North America.
We're gonna work on that.
I feel like I'm really good at product placement. What do you think?
I think you're terrible at it, but I love you. But I feel like you just put it in where it doesn't always fit in, right? Like you just said like a four sentence run on, and like maybe we could have like stopped at the summer, answered that question, and then talked about Bestway.
Yeah, well, when we told Bestway International about sponsoring the podcast, we're like, well, the co-host is really, really bad. So when we banter back and forth and talk about the sponsor, the people that are guests on the show are like, if this guy can do it, I'm going to clearly do great.
We did not say that. What are you doing this summer?
So playing a lot of sports and a lot of pool time, and just really trying to during the pandemic, a lot of Gen X said, hey, we overscheduled our children. Don't do that. And so we're working on some camps, some nothing. So our children are just playing in the dirt and rolling around in the grass and drinking out of the hose. What are you up to?
Oh, we overscheduled.
Come on, Gen X, take your advice.
Gen X, yeah. My kids are going on a few trips for performance. Devin's going to London, and then he performs at nationals for solos in Indiana. Lily has a performance in Chicago, and then between the two kids, we have 5 shows they're in. But this is exciting, and I need everybody to support me majorly next week. So I actually have had, every year I go to my girls' vacation. It's my all-girl vacation.
Oh, Dallas?
Nope, it's in Orlando. It's a festival.
So you guys switch it up?
No, this is, no, I don't know what you're
Different
talking about.
crew.
I go to Dallas a lot because I have friends that live there, but I go on my all-girls vacation to Orlando once a year for this festival. Okay, that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that my son, so I need all the support that I can get, please, you guys. My son is in Theater in the Park, and they open next week while I'm on vacation. So my vacation's been planned for a long time. It's non-refundable. So they open next week. So if you're looking for something fun to do starting next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend, go to Theater in the Park, which is the Johnson County Professional Theater. He is in Bye Bye Birdie, and support him. It's a 2-week run, so I'll get to see the whole next week. But yeah, go support him. So he'll be in Bye Bye Birdie, and then we've got 4 other shows this summer. So just a lot of theater in my life.
See, if my parents were on a podcast, they would say, please, whatever you do, make sure they do not throw a party. You're like, make sure you see my son, who is starring in a revenue generating activity for the entire community.
Yeah, and fun fact, you guys can go to the Sunflower app and get 2 free tickets. If you guys don't know that, near Johnson County. I think it's just a Kansas resident, actually. You can get 2 free tickets on the Sunflower app. Okay, here's the thing. Bestway International is amazing, and we love them for sponsoring the show. And if you're looking for a partner and to transport stuff, we highly encourage them. They are great to work with. Riley Wiles right here in the comments.
Ooh, there's the boss man.
And he can help you guys, help you figure that out. We've also got Mr. Harry Campbell.
The legend.
And Paul is watching on a laptop on a raft in the pool. He's very dedicated. Let us know if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn right over here. And if you're watching the replay, let us know that too. I always go back and look at the comments. We've got a great little panel today. Are you ready?
Do you think Paul rubbed it in because he knows you're doing maintenance on your pool?
I'm not doing maintenance. It's like a non-stop nightmare to have a pool. You guys remember when all I was talking about is wanting a pool? Well, lesson learned, don't get a pool unless you really like to work on pools. It's become a full-time job for me. So here it is.
Here we go.
Okay, our first guest is Dave and DJ.
music.
Hello.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to the show. We do want to get started. So, look, Janae is here watching on LinkedIn from Tornado Land, Russell, Kansas, who said, oh my gosh.
Hope you're okay, Janae.
Yeah, I'm glad you're okay. I'm sorry, geez. This weather's been nuts lately. So, all right, Dave, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Yeah, so Dave Komar, retired Army general. I'm currently the president of EDA Inc., and we are an HR technology company that allows organizations to see their culture in real time without the need for surveys. And I'm also a keynote speaker on culture, and I've got a book that just came out today. So this was very timely, and I appreciate the invitation. The reason I'm in Kansas City was from 2003 to 2007. We were stationed at Fort Leavenworth, and my wife and we just fell in love with Kansas City. Great community, made lots of tremendous friends here. Kansas City's got all the big city amenities without most of the problems. They really still haven't invented traffic here yet, which I love. After being on the East Coast and the DC area numerous times, that's great. So we just decided years ago that when it was time to settle down, when I retired, this was it. So we love it here. Both my kids graduated from Park Hill South, and just really enjoy being part of this community.
So, David, contextually, we have to ask about your service. You served so long. For someone that's not understanding of the military, how would you describe your service, and also where you started and where you ended?
Yeah, so first off, it was a tremendous honor and privilege to be able to serve for over 31 years. I'd never intended to make it a career, but being able to go to work every day, despite a lot of the hardships, working with people who are dedicated to what they do, who are involved in supporting something much bigger than themselves, it was really very rewarding. So I started out, got commissioned through ROTC at college, and started out as a field artillery officer, spent, again, most of my career doing that. And then the second half of my career, I really spent at the corporate level of the Army, developing the 6-year budget plan for the Army. I was also the director of Army business operations for a couple of years. So I was responsible for identifying improvements in our business processes for $135 billion a year operation. And my last job, I was responsible for all of the modernization, developing the requirements for all the modernization programs for the Army, everything from tanks to boots, helicopters to field bandages. And that was about a $25 billion a year program. So I really had some tremendous opportunities in my career, and it was a great honor.
So if you run $1 million company, but you want to run $150 billion company, I think there's some secrets in this book to do it.
I want to read your book, but I have no intention on running a $150 billion company.
Just write $100 million one. It's cool.
That sounds real.
And then have Dave come speak, or you guys go speak together, because you guys command a high ticket price.
I have a fun Park Hill South fact. Do you want to hear my fun?
Ooh, I want to hear this.
They just got the rights to do Hadestown, which is the #1 show on Broadway right now. And they just got the rights to do it. They're the only school in Missouri that got the rights for next season. Big deal. Big deal, guys. Okay.
Big theater stuff.
Big deal. BJ, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I'm BJ Fox. I have a family of 2 daughters, 10 and 7, and a wife that we live in Overland Park, and we love it here. And so what I've done is I created a company called Mental Masters Athlete. It's a young company. We're just getting started, and that is a company that helps guide athletes to understand their mental skills and become better at those. And it kind of ties into the foundation as well as of what I call ULA Life, which is a framework that helps you have a better life in a what I call it, a balanced life. And it gives you that framework. It's called a a system, not a secret, to get yourself both in your life balanced, but as well as an athlete, become a better athlete, because you cannot be a great athlete unless you have your life in order. I also am a leader in a financial industry that, have multiple teams where I lead folks and try to take that same philosophy into the business world. So I have that corporate America experience and kind of collide all of those pieces together, and it makes quite a educational piece for folks. And I want to share that to the world. How did I end up here? So about 11 years ago, I had an opportunity from my baseball experiences. I played professional baseball a couple seasons after college.
Whoa,
And, it was an independent league. It's kind of like the Monarchs they have here in Kansas City, and got to, have that boyhood dream and got to play, in front of fans, 5,000, 6,000 fans, and got cheered, which was an amazing experience, but also booed, which got to hear both of those. Once you're done with that career and you get fired, they always ask me, how'd you get fired? Well, I didn't hit enough home runs. And so went into the business world and took those same philosophies, which I learned from the mental game that I learned in that sport, and took it into business and grew. Each team I had and every team I worked with became successful. And eventually a friend of mine through business was leading in the financial industry down here and said, hey, why don't you, come into this industry and just bring your leadership skills? And we did that. And 11 years later, we're having a great time learning, every day and getting to share that information.
What's the name of the professional organization, and what positions did you play in baseball?
Yeah, so it was multiple teams I played with, and when I started after college was Gateway Grizzlies, which was their founding season, got released at the end of their spring training, which was heartbreaking, which is a great story though. And then we went to Springfield Ozark Mountain Ducks, which was one of my favorite places in the world to play in Missouri. And such a great season there. It was in 2001. And then the next season ended up getting released at the spring training there, and went down to Rio Grande White Wings, which was an independent team. And those were in the Texas-Louisiana League. And that was right there in the bottom tip of Texas. So we got to experiment all of those places and played first base, outfield. Outfield is where I played, which kind of helped my demise. I wasn't very fast. So kind of helped. But some great memories there and some great tools to take.
Janae said, it's BJ from class. Yay. So awesome. Okay, Scott, are you ready for your question?
I only have one responsibility. I will not let you down. Dave, what is the most pivotal point in your career?
Yeah, the most pivotal point in my career occurred in August of 2003. I had just left the Pentagon and came here to Fort Leavenworth, outside Kansas City, which, again, in the end was a tremendous thing because that's why we're here now. And I went to an organization. I thought I was going to have a little bit of a break coming from the Pentagon, and almost immediately got put on the Chief of Staff of the Army's task force to redesign the entire Army. So we redesigned the entire Army in about 3.5 months. And within 3 months after that, we started converting the first unit. So, 1.1 million people in the Army. And we, in the matter of months, were able to not only come up with the new designs, but also to start implementing it. And because of that, number one, I learned a lot, and I was exposed to a lot of great leaders, but it also gave me an opportunity to really be seen across the Army, and be seen as the expert in something. And it was obvious, not only something, but it was something that was drastically impacting everyone in the Army. So, before I knew it, I'd be getting emails either cussing me out or, from all corners of the Army, thanks to, the magic of email. But it was a tremendous learning opportunity. One of the things I learned was how to implement change. Probably the most critical lesson out of that was, whenever you're trying to create significant change, is immediately, early on, bring your detractors inside the tent. So we had already identified who in the Army and who outside the Army was going to be opposed and find fault with what we were doing. And we brought them in early, listened to what they had to say. And some of the things they said were very great points, and things we wound up adopting. Some of the things they said we were then able to explain to them why we weren't going in that direction. And this way they were early on able to be heard. And once the changes started to be implemented across the Army, it really defanged our critics, because they had already, they had already addressed the things that concerned them the most. And again, some things we adopted, some things we didn't, but at least they were heard. So every time I've tried to make change since then, I've identified those, potential, I won't say opponents, but vocal advocates for not changing.
Do you think, this is a yes or no question because I know we're out of time, but do you think that there will be a draft anytime in the near future?
No.
Okay, thank you. Because my son can only do the choir, I think, if he gets drafted. Hi, Deborah. How are you? Also,
Hey, Deborah.
Deborah. Okay, I'm just wondering. He's not very tough. Okay, are you ready, Scott?
I still don't know if we ever solved the question of Deborah, or Debbie.
I think she just goes by whatever we want to call her.
BJ, what is the most pivotal point in your career?
Man, that is Scott. That's a loaded question. That's I don't know if there's enough time on this meeting to go through all of these. There's so many pieces of my career, from when I was in school growing up, being told you're not good enough to play ball, to proving them wrong, getting to the next level, getting into a software company in Minnesota that ended up, got me a chance to, like David, got to go to the Pentagon. I got to see Camp David. Some of those cool places that were software that they used was there. Then transferred into financial industry. And once I got enough time in the financial industry, I was able to give back to the baseball community and start doing this mental masters training for folks. So my biggest pivotal moment, I'm going to start with this latest one, which is my most exciting one. It just happened with the mental masters. Is in January, we got asked to come down to Incarnate Word University. It's a softball D1 program in San Antonio. And Coach Kim, Coach Robin, assistant coach, it's my close college roommate, Josh Reeves, and Coach Ben. We're like, come on down. Let's give this mental masters packet that you do, which reflects, identifies where you're at, and decides where we're going to go. Give it to the girls and see where they go. It's in January. The team was kind of all over the place, didn't have an identity. And we did that over a couple days and found out some goals that they wanted. I said, win 25 games. They were like, you're crazy. We're preseason picked to be last and not have 10 wins. And I said, we're going to win 25. They end up getting 20. Then they got 22. Then they got 25. They end up with a record of 34-17, and then made it to the conference game or tournament. And they said, hey, once you come on down, let's bring you down, since that seemed to work for the season. So we came down. I did a daily prep with them with I call it the paper plate technique. And each day we took one at a time. And my lordy, they won the first day. Second day, they beat the number one team in the conference. And then they come back the next day, they get beat, but they had to beat the number one team again to get to the championship. They do that. They get to the championship game. They end up getting 7-5 lead in the last inning. They get beat by a 3-run homer, heartbreaker. But then what happens is, as we get done with that, we look back and reflect and said, ladies, we broke 12 school goals, never made it to the conference at all in 37 years. They made it to the championship. So all of these accolades, we had 5 All-Americans. Remember, all of this wasn't even supposed to happen. And, it was part of that, just putting that belief in their head in January, and they started to believe. And at the end of the season, I said, if you kind of believed in this and you got to the championship game and got second, then what are you going to do when you fully believe? And then on top of that, the best part is when you have a senior where their seasons are over, they're done with their career. That's where we go into ULA platform. That's where you get your life in balance. That's where we take you and we give you that tool to help yourself stay on track with life, so you don't just spiral out of control after your sports, because athletes have a hard time adapting into the world after the sports are done.
Oof, you got that all in. I didn't know when you started that story if you were going to get that in. Good job. Yeah, pretty amazing story. So. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, good job, Scott. You did your job well. Everybody did their job well. You guys are really good today. All right, this is my favorite question of all the questions we ask. Dave, how are your 2024 goals going, and how can the Kansas City community help you?
My 2024 goals are going great, especially today since I launched my book. Everything I do is to try to create a world where everyone loves where they work. And the reason for that is that just imagine if everyone left work every day energized instead of drained, feeling like they were part of something bigger than themselves, being appreciated for what they did. Not only would they be more productive and everyone would be more, would increase their level of competency. But just imagine how much better members of the community and their family they would be. And that would change the world. And I found in my career too many times I worked for poor leaders, I worked for organizations that had very poor culture. And by the time I got home, I had spent every last drop of energy, expended my very last nerve. And when I got home, I wasn't a very pleasant person to be around. And my family suffered for that. So if there's any way in the world that I can help others prevent that, that's what I'm trying to do. So I do that through a few different ways. One is through the company that I'm the president of, EDA. We absolutely have the ability to make sure that every leader is able to see their culture in real time. You don't have to mess with surveys and all the negatives that come from surveys. But also my keynote speaking, my book. And again, the great thing about my book is one of the things is that I intentionally wrote a book that ensured that an executive can read it on one domestic plane flight. And that's because I know how busy executives are, particularly CEOs, and I didn't want to waste their time. The book is also action-oriented. It's very practical. It gives applications. It has exercises inside. You can start using the concepts and the framework of the book immediately. So that's really the biggest thing, is to try to get the word out on the book, as well as through speaking and some of the coaching that I do.
Where did you purchase the book?
Amazon. So
Okay.
right now, if you go to, I'm working on other outlets, but right now you can get it on the world's largest bookseller. In fact, right now, if you go on, you can actually get the ebook for 99 cents.
Wow. Cool.
Only took 3 days or 2 days to deliver. I actually ordered another book at the same time, still not here. Amazon likes Dave. They know who to help.
Awesome.
I've had great support. I have over 100 just launched today, and I have over 100 5-star reviews. So I'm very appreciative to everyone who's supported me.
That's the trick on there. Now they're going to start pushing it to you. Good job. Okay, well, let's see. Look, Deborah said Deborah works, and then she said, go BJ. I believe she did that shirt you have on, right, BJ?
Yep.
And then Harry said,
Good
Times Square
community.
Olympic. All right, BJ, how are your 2024 goals going, and how can the Kansas City community help you achieve them?
Yeah. So, like I said before, in the Mental Masters, we're young and we're growing, and we're trying to figure a lot of things out. And we actually have a great mentor named Aaron that's given us some really great, mind-blowing experiences of what to learn and how to learn. I'm old school. I am not into a lot of social stuff very deep, so I'm getting a crash course there. And then we're building a website. And the website is basically going to take those packets that I was telling you about, where it's paper and I sit there in front of you and we go through it and we color what I call the ULA wheel. That's going to find out if you're rolling in the right path or if you have a bump or two in that tire that you got to figure out. So we'll go through that. I want to get that built onto the web page to be able to be done for you, so it automatically shows you, and then it gives you places for goals and accomplishments and some achievements, and then gives you statuses, become a beginner mental athlete to eventually becoming a mental master. But then once you're doing the mental skills and you're continuing every day doing those, you have to maintain it. Otherwise you start to lose those skills. So it helps the athletes stay on top of their game. And as well for recruiting for colleges or for trade portals, where they're like, hey, I'm getting an athlete that went into the portal. Are they an athlete that is going to be a great team member, or are they going to be an athlete that is a problem? And I want to know what kind of mental status they are from a mental athlete perspective, so I know what I'm getting for the team and become a better team player. So that website comes, and then eventually we'll grow into making that into an app, so it can be something that both the athlete can get, the coach can look at their whole team, and then as well as a recruiter can look at those statistics for the all of the athletes that are out there to recruit and those kind of aspects. So how the Kansas City area can help, there's a couple ways. Building this is going through. I'm working currently with the DBATS KC, DBATS Lee Summit, and DBATS Lawrence. DBAT community is with baseball lessons. We also have some other places that we're going to look to partner with, bringing the mental skills training courses to them. So if you are have an athlete that's playing in specifically softball or baseball, start looking at those and getting those programs that are out there, and we'll do some of those 2, 3, 4 day kind of clinics, or even sometimes 1 day clinics, just to help get some of that information out there. The same thing is doing side clinics as well through the mental.
Is it storming really bad where you guys are?
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, it's storming really bad. We've got. Okay, you're back now. You
There we
froze
go.
for a second.
So the final piece is the ULA life, which is getting your life in balance. So if you're done with your athletics, or you're in life just saying, hey, I need to figure out my life and get it in balance, between family, faith, fitness, field, which is your job, friends, and fun. If you're not having something in all those, and finance as well, then this is a tool that's going to help you get that in order and really change your life.
Yeah, it's just all of a sudden like hailing and storming and trees are falling down. So yes, standard there, Scott. Awesome. Well, if you want to follow both BJ just got himself a LinkedIn last week, so find him. And Dave, sorry, I'm used to calling you David. Call him Dave, first of all. I've been calling him the wrong thing this whole time. That's why Scott was asking about Deborah. Dave's always been on here.
David is the book, but Dave, he goes by Dave.
You made it confusing for us.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I did with Debbie too, or Deborah. Yeah, see, but you never know.
They're both on LinkedIn. You can go follow them and reach out to them. Thank you so much for both of you guys for coming on. We really appreciate it. Scott, thank you so much for being a great co-host. And as always, thank you Bestway International for being an amazing sponsor. We will see you same time, same place. This will be the last thing I do before I head on vacation next week. Bye, guys. See ya.